Have you ever felt that burning sensation in your gut when someone tells you that you're not good enough? That raw emotion that makes your heart race and your fists clench? Most of us have been there. We've all had those moments when the world seemed to conspire against us, when doors were slammed in our faces and when others took pleasure in our setbacks. But here's what fascinates me. That very feeling, that fire of indignation, holds within it the seeds of your greatest triumph. The truth is, success isn't just about proving others wrong, it's about proving yourself right. It's about understanding that the greatest revenge isn't served cold. It's served through excellence, through achievement, through becoming the very best version of yourself. Let me share something with you. In a small diner in the heart of Middle America, a young waitress once worked double shifts, her feet aching, her uniform stained with coffee. Her high school counselor had told her she wasn't college material. Her relatives whispered that she'd never amount to anything more than serving plates. But every night, after her shift ended at midnight, she'd sit in that empty diner with textbooks spread across the counter. While others slept, she studied. While critics doubted, she learned. While naysayers scoffed, she grew. Today, she runs one of the most successful law practices in her state. But here's what's remarkable. When asked about those who doubted her, she doesn't speak with bitterness. Instead, she says, "I should thank them. Their doubt became my fuel." You see, true success isn't about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's about understanding that every no you hear is really a not yet. Every rejection is really a redirection. Every setback is really a setup for your comeback. The greatest achievements in human history. The Wright brothers were told that if humans were meant to fly, they'd have been born with wings. Yet they didn't waste their energy fighting critics. They channeled it into creating something extraordinary. They understood that the best response to skepticism isn't argument, it's achievement. But let's talk about you. Right now, in this very moment, you're carrying something within you. Perhaps it's a dream that others have dismissed. Maybe it's an idea that's been ridiculed. Or possibly a goal that someone told you was unrealistic. These aren't your limitations, they're your launching pads. Consider this. Every time someone doubts you, they're actually giving you a gift. A gift of fuel for your journey. Every skeptic is unknowingly contributing to your success story. Every naysayer is inadvertently strengthening your resolve. The question isn't whether you'll face opposition, you will. The question is what you'll do with it. Will you let it defeat you, or will you let it define you? Will you let it break you, or will you let it build you? In the quiet corners of countless workshops, laboratories, and offices, individuals who were once told they weren't good enough have quietly gone about the business of proving excellence. They understood that success isn't about shouting back at critics. It's about rising above the noise through consistent, determined action. Take the story of a young artist who submitted his work to a prestigious gallery. The curator not only rejected his paintings, but took the time to write a detailed letter explaining why he would never succeed in the art world. The artist took that letter and pinned it above his workspace, not as a reminder of rejection, but as a daily challenge to improve. Each brushstroke became more deliberate, each composition more thoughtful. He didn't paint to prove the curator wrong, he painted to prove his own vision right. Years later, when his work was featured in that same gallery, he didn't mention the letter. His success spoke louder than any words could. This is the essence of using success as revenge. Not through confrontation, but through transformation. But let me be clear about something. This journey isn't about harboring resentment, it's about harnessing resilience. The moment you shift your focus from proving others wrong to proving yourself right, something magical happens. Your energy changes, your perspective shifts, your potential expands. The energy you spend when you're angry at someone who doubted you. Now imagine channeling that same energy into perfecting your craft, developing your skills, or building your dream. That's the difference between revenge and success. Revenge consumes you, success elevates you. I want you to do something right now. Take a moment and think about the voices that have told you no, the people who said you couldn't, the circumstances that seemed to stand in your way. Now, imagine transforming each of those no's into fuel, each doubt into determination, each rejection into resolve. This isn't about proving others wrong, it's about proving yourself right. It's about understanding that the sweetest revenge isn't served through spite, but through success. It's about recognizing that while others may doubt your journey, only you can define your destination. Consider the story of a small business owner who lost everything in a devastating economic downturn. His competitors celebrated his downfall, certain that he was finished. Local papers wrote him off as another casualty of hard times. But in his darkest moment, he made a decision that would change everything. He chose to view his rock bottom not as a grave, but as a foundation. Working from his garage, he rebuilt his business one relationship at a time. He didn't focus on his competitors' mockery, he focused on his customers' needs. He didn't waste energy on resentment, he invested it in improvement. When others cut corners, he doubled down on quality. When the industry chased quick profits, he pursued long-term value. Today, his business has grown beyond anyone's expectations. But more importantly, he's grown beyond his own limitations. The revenge of success isn't just about financial recovery. It's about personal transformation. This is the profound truth about using success as revenge. It transforms not just your circumstances, but your character. When you choose to respond to doubt with determination, to criticism with creativity, to rejection with resilience, you become someone new, someone stronger, someone better. But let's talk about the price of this journey. Because make no mistake, this path isn't easy. It demands something from you that mere revenge never could. It demands your best self, your complete focus, your unwavering commitment to excellence. The path of success requires you to do what others won't. To wake up earlier, to work harder, to persist longer, to learn continuously, to face your fears daily, to embrace discomfort as a teacher, to view obstacles not as barriers, but as opportunities for growth. This is where many people falter. They want the triumph without the trial. They want the victory without the battle. They want the success without the struggle. But that's not how real, lasting success works. Real success, the kind that transforms you and inspires others, comes from embracing the journey in its entirety. Every time you choose growth over grievance, improvement over resentment, excellence over ego, you're not just building your success story. You're writing a new chapter in the human story of resilience and transformation. You're showing others what's possible when you refuse to let rejection define your reality. The truth is, the world needs your success story. Not just for you, but for everyone who will be inspired by your journey. Every time you rise above negativity through achievement, you create a ripple effect that touches countless lives. Your success becomes a beacon of possibility for others facing their own doubts and rejections. Remember the waitress in the diner? Her story didn't end with her personal success. Today, she mentors young people who, like her, have been told they're not good enough. But she doesn't teach them about revenge. She teaches them about resilience. She shows them that the best response to doubt is dedication, to criticism is competence, to rejection is results. This is the ultimate irony of using success as revenge. When you finally achieve it, you realize that revenge was never the point. The point was becoming someone greater than you ever imagined possible. The point was discovering strengths you never knew you had. The point was inspiring others to believe in their own potential. So, let me ask you, what will you do with the doubt that's been cast your way? How will you transform the rejection you faced into fuel for your journey? What story will you write with your success? The choice is yours. You can let rejection defeat you or let it drive you. You can let criticism crush you or let it shape you. You can let doubt define you or let it motivate you to define yourself. Let's dig deeper into something that many of us struggle with, the voice of self-doubt. Because here's the truth that might surprise you. Sometimes the harshest critic isn't the world around you. It's the voice inside your head. The voice that whispers, you're not ready, or you're not good enough, or who do you think you are? But what if I told you that this very voice, this internal critic, could become your greatest ally in the pursuit of success? What if those doubts could be transformed into the questions that lead you to your greatest achievements? There's a story of a young man who worked as a janitor in a prestigious research facility. Every night, as he cleaned the laboratories, he would study the complex equations left on the blackboards. His colleagues laughed at him. A janitor trying to understand advanced mathematics, they'd say, but he didn't let their laughter define him. Instead, he let it drive him. He spent 6 years studying those equations, taking night classes, filling notebooks with calculations. He wasn't trying to prove his critics wrong. He was trying to prove his potential right. Today, he holds several patents in chemical engineering. But here's what's remarkable. He still keeps his old janitor's uniform hanging in his office. Not as a reminder of shame, but as a symbol of where determination can lead. You see, true success isn't about silencing the critics. It's about silencing the doubt. It's about understanding that every voice that says you can't is really asking, how will you? Every limitation others place on you is really an invitation to expand your own boundaries. The energy we waste on resentment, the hours spent replaying negative comments in our minds, the days lost to anger over someone's lack of faith in us. Now imagine if we transformed that energy into action, if we turned every no into a watch me, every rejection into a reason to improve, every setback into a setup for something greater. There's a profound difference between being driven by revenge and being driven by vision. Revenge looks backward, consumed by what was done to you. Vision looks forward, focused on what can be done by you. Revenge is about getting even. Vision is about getting ahead. Revenge is about proving others wrong. Vision is about proving yourself right. Consider the story of a small manufacturing company that lost its biggest contract to a larger competitor. The owner's first instinct was to blame, to be angry, to seek revenge. But instead, he gathered his team and asked a different question. How can we become so good that losing us becomes their biggest regret? They didn't slash prices or spread rumors about their competitor. Instead, they revolutionized their quality control. They improved their customer service. They innovated their products. They transformed their setback into a catalyst for excellence. 2 years later, when that same client came back, they weren't just ready. They were better than ever. This is the essence of using success as revenge. It's not about getting back at others. It's about getting better than your previous self. It's about understanding that the best response to doubt isn't defiance, it's development. The best answer to criticism isn't combat, it's competence. But let's talk about something that often gets overlooked in the pursuit of success: the importance of patience. In a world obsessed with overnight success stories, we forget that true transformation takes time. Real success, the kind that changes not just your circumstances but your character, isn't built in a day. It's built day by day, decision by decision, improvement by improvement. A master craftsman creating a masterpiece. They don't rush, they don't cut corners. They understand that excellence can't be hurried. Each detail, each refinement, each moment of focused attention brings them closer to their vision. Their work isn't driven by a desire to prove critics wrong. It's driven by a commitment to prove excellence right. This is where many people falter in their journey of using success as revenge. They want immediate results. They want instant vindication. They want their critics to eat their words tomorrow. But true success, the kind that transforms setbacks into comebacks, requires something more. It requires the patience to persist when results aren't visible, the courage to continue when progress seems slow, the wisdom to understand that every small step forward is a victory in itself. There's a story of a woman who was repeatedly passed over for promotion in her company. Each rejection stung more than the last. Her colleagues whispered that she'd reached her ceiling, but instead of letting bitterness take root, she made a decision that would change everything. She decided to become so skilled, so valuable, so exceptional at her work that passing her over would become impossible to justify. For 3 years, she invested in herself. She took extra courses. She volunteered for challenging projects. She developed new skills. She wasn't working to prove her worth to others. She was working to expand her own capabilities. When she finally received her promotion, it wasn't given, it was earned. And it wasn't just a new title, it was recognition of who she had become. This is the transformative power of using success as your revenge. It forces you to focus not on what others did to you, but on what you can do for yourself. It challenges you to transform negative energy into positive action. It invites you to replace resentment with resilience, bitterness with betterment, anger with ambition. But here's something crucial to understand. This journey will test you. There will be days when the old pull of revenge feels stronger than the new push toward success. Days when you want to prove critics wrong more than you want to prove yourself right. Days when the voice of resentment speaks louder than the voice of reason. These are the moments that define your journey. These are the crossroads where you choose between the easy path of revenge and the challenging path of success, between looking back in anger and looking forward with purpose, between being driven by what was done to you and being driven by what you can do. Remember this: every moment you spend focused on proving critics wrong is a moment you could spend proving yourself right. Every ounce of energy you invest in resentment is energy you could invest in improvement. Every day you spend looking back at those who doubted you is a day you could spend moving forward toward your dreams. The choice between revenge and success isn't made once, it's made daily. In every interaction, in every setback, in every moment, when someone doubts your abilities or questions your worth. It's made in those quiet moments when no one is watching, when you decide whether to let rejection define you or refine you, the legacy you want to leave. When others tell your story, what do you want them to say? That you were someone who got even or someone who got better? That you were defined by those who doubted you, or that you were driven by your own vision of what was possible? The truth is, the greatest revenge isn't proving others wrong. It's proving yourself right. It's not about showing them what they missed. It's about showing yourself what you can become. It's not about getting back at them. It's about getting ahead for yourself. There's something powerful that happens when you stop seeing obstacles as barriers and start seeing them as bridges to your better self. When you understand that every no you receive isn't a stop sign, it's a detour leading you to something greater than you initially imagined. Let me share with you the story of a small local restaurant owner. His establishment had been a cornerstone of the community for years, when a large chain restaurant opened directly across the street. Everyone said he would be out of business within months. The chain had deeper pockets, flashier advertising, and lower prices. Instead of trying to compete on their terms, he did something remarkable. He doubled down on what made his restaurant special, the personal connections he'd built over years. He knew every regular customer's name, their favorite dishes, their family stories. When someone was sick, he'd personally deliver soup to their home. When a customer lost a loved one, he'd close the restaurant to attend the funeral. He wasn't just running a business, he was nurturing a community. And something extraordinary happened. His customers didn't just remain loyal, they became advocates. They brought their friends, shared their stories, celebrated their milestones in his restaurant. The chain across the street had lower prices, but he had something they couldn't replicate: authentic human connection. This is what happens when you choose growth over grievance, when you decide to respond to competition not with complaint but with character. When you understand that success isn't about beating others, it's about becoming better. But let's talk about something that many of us struggle with: the fear of failure. Because here's the truth: when you're pursuing success as a form of revenge, failure becomes even more frightening. The thought of failing in front of those who doubted you can be paralyzing. Yet what if I told you that this fear is actually a compass? What if the very thing that terrifies you is pointing directly at your next area of growth? What if failure isn't your enemy, but your educator? Consider the story of a young boxer who lost his first professional fight in a humiliating knockout. The sports papers called it the end of his career before it began. His own trainer suggested he find another profession, but in that moment of total defeat, he made a decision that would define his legacy. He wouldn't just train harder, he would train differently. He studied films of his defeat, not with shame, but with curiosity. He analyzed his weaknesses not as flaws, but as opportunities for improvement. He transformed his humiliation into humility, his defeat into data. Each morning, before anyone else arrived at the gym, he practiced the very move that had led to his knockout. He wasn't just trying to prevent another loss. He was working to create a new victory. This is the essence of transforming revenge into success. It requires you to be more interested in improvement than in vindication, more focused on growth than on grievance, more committed to excellence than to ego. But here's something crucial that we need to discuss: the difference between motivation and inspiration. Revenge can motivate you, but it's a finite fuel. It burns hot but burns out quickly. Success, on the other hand, inspires you. It's renewable energy that grows stronger with each achievement, each improvement, each step forward. The energy you feel when you're angry about a rejection. Now compare that to the energy you feel when you're excited about your progress. The first is consuming, the second is creating. The first depletes you, the second develops you. The first is about them, the second is about you. There's a story of a young writer who received 312 rejection letters from publishers. Each letter was a paper cut to his confidence, each rejection a reason to quit. But instead of letting these rejections defeat him, he did something unusual. He wallpapered his small office with these rejection letters, not as a reminder of failure, but as testimony to his persistence. Every morning he would look at those walls and ask himself one question: what can I improve today? He wasn't writing to prove publishers wrong, he was writing to prove his stories right. He wasn't focused on revenge against those who rejected him. He was focused on developing his craft to a level that couldn't be rejected. This is the transformative power of choosing success over revenge. It shifts your focus from external validation to internal development, from what others think of you to what you know about yourself, from their expectations to your excellence. But let's address something that often gets overlooked in discussions about success: the importance of joy in the journey. When you're driven by revenge, joy is often the first casualty. The pursuit becomes grim, heavy, burdened by the weight of proving others wrong. But when you're driven by the vision of your own success, joy becomes both fuel and compass. A child learning to walk. They fall dozens of times, but they never see these falls as failures. They don't get angry at the floor for being hard. They don't blame their legs for being weak. They simply keep getting up, often with a giggle because they're not focused on the falls. They're excited about the possibility of walking. This is the mindset that transforms setbacks into stepping stones. It's not about denying the pain of rejection or the sting of criticism. It's about refusing to let these experiences steal your joy in the journey of becoming who you're meant to be. Consider the story of a small choir that was rejected from a prestigious music festival. The rejection letter specifically mentioned their lack of technical precision. The choir director gathered her singers and said something unexpected: "We're not going to get bitter, we're going to get better, and we're going to enjoy every step of the journey." They didn't just increase their practice hours, they transformed how they practiced. They turned technical exercises into games. They celebrated small improvements with the same enthusiasm as big breakthroughs. They found joy in the pursuit of excellence. When they finally performed at that same festival 2 years later, they didn't just demonstrate technical precision, they showed what happens when dedication meets joy. This is what separates those who use success as revenge from those who are consumed by revenge itself. The first group finds joy in the journey of improvement. The second group loses their joy to the burden of resentment. The first group is energized by the pursuit of excellence. The second group is exhausted by the weight of grievance. But here's something vital to understand. This journey of transforming revenge into success isn't just about you. Your story of resilience, your example of choosing growth over grievance, your demonstration of turning rejection into fuel for success. These become beacons of possibility for others facing their own doubts and defeats. Every time you choose excellence over ego, improvement over anger, development over defiance, you're not just writing your success story, you're showing others what's possible when you refuse to let rejection define your destiny. You're demonstrating that the path to success isn't about getting even, it's about getting better. This is perhaps the ultimate irony of using success as revenge. When you finally achieve it, you realize that the real transformation wasn't in proving others wrong. It was in proving to yourself just how right you were to believe in your potential. It wasn't about showing them what they missed. It was about discovering what you could become. Let's talk about something that many of us struggle with, the weight of other people's expectations. Those voices that tell you to be realistic, to stay in your lane, to know your place. Those well-meaning friends and family members who try to protect you from disappointment by limiting your dreams. Here's a profound truth. The greatest limitations we face aren't the ones others place on us. They're the ones we accept as truth. The moment you decide that someone else's limitation doesn't define your potential, something extraordinary happens. You begin to see possibilities where others see problems. You begin to find opportunities where others see obstacles. There's a story of a young man from a small farming community. When he announced his dream of becoming a symphony conductor, his entire town thought he'd lost his mind. "We're farmers," they said. "We grow crops, not orchestras." But he understood something they didn't, that the soil isn't the only thing that can be cultivated. Dreams can be cultivated too. Every morning before working in the fields, he would practice conducting with a makeshift baton, a wooden spoon from his mother's kitchen. He studied music theory by candlelight after his chores were done. He didn't have access to an orchestra, so he conducted to recordings on an old record player. He wasn't trying to prove his critics wrong, he was trying to prove his passion right. Today he conducts orchestras around the world. But here's what's remarkable. When he returns to his hometown, he doesn't speak of proving them wrong. Instead, he conducts free concerts in the town square, turning his success into an opportunity to share the beauty of music with the very community that once doubted him. This is the difference between revenge and success. Revenge seeks to hurt those who hurt you. Success seeks to lift those who doubted you. Revenge is about getting even. Success is about getting everyone to a higher level. But let's discuss something that's rarely talked about in conversations about success. The importance of selective forgetting. Not everyone who doubted you did so out of malice. Some doubted you out of their own fears. Some criticized you out of their own limitations. Some rejected you out of their own insecurities. Understanding this doesn't mean excusing their behavior. It means liberating yourself from the weight of their words. It means choosing which voices you'll carry with you on your journey to success and which ones you'll leave behind. Consider the story of a woman who started a small dressmaking business from her kitchen table. Her husband called it a silly hobby. Her siblings warned her about the risks. Her friends reminded her of all the failed businesses they knew, but she understood something crucial. Their doubts said more about their fears than her future. She didn't waste energy trying to convince them. Instead, she poured that energy into perfecting her craft. She didn't spend time defending her dream. She spent it developing her skills. Each stitch was a statement. Each finished dress was a reply to those who doubted. She wasn't working to prove them wrong. She was working to prove her vision right. Today, her designs are celebrated for their quality and creativity. But what's most remarkable is how she talks about those early days. "The doubts of others became my dedication," she says. "Their limitations became my inspiration." This is the alchemy of transforming revenge into success. It requires you to transform not just your circumstances, but your perspective. To see criticism not as a wall, but as a window to improvement. To view rejection not as an ending, but as a beginning. But let's talk about something that often gets overlooked. The power of strategic silence. When you're pursuing success as revenge, there's often a temptation to announce your plans, to declare your intentions, to promise your comeback. But true transformation doesn't need a megaphone. Real success doesn't require a preview, a seed breaking through soil. It doesn't make announcements. It doesn't issue warnings. It simply grows, silently but persistently, until its results become undeniable. This is the kind of success that transforms not just your circumstances, but your character. There's a story of a sales executive who was publicly fired from his company. His termination was announced at a company meeting, his failures listed for all to hear. As he packed his office, colleagues whispered and pointed. It was the kind of humiliation that begs for immediate revenge. But he chose a different path. He didn't make threats. He didn't spread rumors. He didn't promise comebacks. Instead, he went silent. Not the silence of defeat, but the silence of determination. He used his severance pay to start his own company. While others waited for his failure, he worked. While they watched for his defeat, he built. While they expected his revenge, he created success. 3 years later, his company had grown to employ several of his former colleagues, not because he sought revenge, but because he sought excellence. He didn't hire them to prove a point. He hired them because they were talented, and his success had created opportunities to lift others up. This is the paradox of using success as revenge. When you finally achieve it, you realize that revenge was never the point. The point was becoming someone greater than your critics could imagine. The point was creating something more significant than their doubts could contain. But here's something vital to understand. This journey of transformation isn't linear. There will be days when the old pull of revenge feels stronger than the new push toward success. Days when you want to respond to doubt with defiance rather than determination. Days when proving critics wrong feels more urgent than proving yourself right. These moments aren't failures of your journey. They're opportunities for deeper transformation. They're chances to practice what I call productive forgetting. The art of leaving behind what doesn't serve your growth while carrying forward what fuels your success. A master martial artist breaking boards. They don't focus on the resistance of the wood, they focus on the point beyond it. This is how you break through barriers, not by fixating on the obstacle, but by focusing on your trajectory beyond it. Consider the story of a teacher who was told she would never advance in her career because she lacked the right background. Instead of fighting against this perception, she focused on breaking through it. She didn't waste energy arguing about her background, she invested it in her foreground. Every class she taught became an opportunity for innovation. Every student interaction became a chance for impact. She didn't just earn promotions, she revolutionized how her school approached education. She didn't just prove critics wrong, she proved a new approach right. Her success wasn't just personal vindication, it became a pathway for other teachers who faced similar doubts. This is the ultimate power of choosing success over revenge. It transforms not just your story, but the stories of those who follow. Your journey of turning rejection into resilience, criticism into creativity, doubt into determination becomes a blueprint for others facing their own obstacles. But remember this, the goal isn't to become immune to doubt or criticism. The goal is to become someone who can transform these challenges into catalysts for growth, someone who can take the energy of revenge and transmute it into the power of success. Someone who understands that the best response to limitation isn't defiance, it's development. As we come to this moment together, let's talk about something that transforms everything we've discussed about success and revenge, the power of legacy. Because here's a truth that changes everything. The success you're building isn't just about you. It's about every person who will be inspired by your journey, every soul who will find courage in your story, every heart that will be lifted by your example. When you choose to transform revenge into success, you're not just changing your story. You're changing the story of what's possible for others. You're not just proving critics wrong, you're proving possibility right. You're showing that rejection doesn't have to lead to resentment, it can lead to renaissance. There's a story of a dance instructor who was told she was too old to start her own studio. The local arts community dismissed her dreams, saying the market belonged to younger, more energetic teachers. But she understood something they didn't, that wisdom has its own energy, that experience has its own grace. Instead of fighting against their perception of age, she embraced what age had given her: patience, understanding, and the ability to see the unique potential in every student. She didn't just teach dance steps, she taught confidence. She didn't just create dancers, she created believers in possibility. Today, her studio is known not just for producing skilled dancers, but for transforming lives. Students who were told they were too clumsy, too heavy, too awkward found their grace under her guidance. She turned her revenge into a revolution of possibility, not just for herself, but for every person who walked through her doors, feeling less than enough. This is the ultimate power of choosing success over revenge. It becomes a gift that keeps giving. Your triumph becomes a torch that lights the way for others. Your resilience becomes a resource that others can draw upon when facing their own doubts and rejections. The moment of choice. Right now, in this very moment, you stand at a crossroads. One path leads to revenge. Familiar, tempting, promising, quick satisfaction. The other leads to success, challenging, demanding, but offering lasting transformation. The choice isn't just about what you'll do. It's about who you'll become. Because here's the truth that changes everything. Revenge makes you a prisoner of your past, but success makes you an architect of your future. Consider the story of a man who lost his family business to a fraudulent partnership. Everything he'd built over decades was stripped away in months. The community expected him to seek legal revenge, to fight back with lawsuits and accusations. Instead, he chose a different battle, the battle to create something even better. Starting from scratch, he built a new business, but this time, He didn't just focus on profits, he focused on principles. He created a business model based on transparency and trust. He didn't just employ people, he empowered them. He didn't just serve customers, he served the community. Today, his new business has surpassed the success of his old one. But here's what's remarkable. He created a template for ethical business practices that others now follow. His success didn't just overcome his loss, it created a legacy of positive change. And this is what happens when you choose success over revenge. You don't just change your circumstances, you change the conversation. You don't just overcome obstacles, you create opportunities for others to do the same. But let's address something crucial, the fear that holds many back from this path. The fear that if you don't seek revenge, if you don't fight back directly, you're somehow letting others win. That if you focus on success instead of settling scores, you're somehow letting injustice stand. Here's the liberating truth. Success isn't about letting others off the hook. It's about taking yourself off their hook. It's about understanding that the best response to those who tried to write you off is to write a new chapter they couldn't imagine. Water encountering an obstacle. It doesn't waste energy trying to destroy the barrier. It doesn't stop flowing to fight. It finds new paths, creates new channels, transforms the very landscape it flows through. This is the kind of success that changes everything, not through confrontation, but through transformation. There's a story of a research scientist whose groundbreaking theory was ridiculed by the academic community. Her papers were rejected, her ideas dismissed, her contributions minimized. The easy path would have been to fight each critic, to answer each dismissal, to engage in academic warfare. Instead, she chose to let her work speak for itself. She didn't waste energy defending her ideas, she invested it in developing them further. She didn't fight the critics, she focused on the research. Each rejection became a reason to dig deeper, each dismissal a motivation to document more thoroughly. When her theories were finally proven correct, she didn't use her success to shame those who doubted her. Instead, she used it to create opportunities for young scientists facing similar skepticism. She turned her triumph into a door through which others could walk. This is the kind of success that changes not just your story, but the story of your field. Not just your life, but the lives of those who follow. It's success that doesn't just prove critics wrong, it proves possibility right. As we stand here together, understanding these truths about success and revenge, let me ask you something that changes everything. What will your legacy be? When others tell your story, what will they say? Will they speak of someone who got even, or someone who got better? Someone who fought back, or someone who moved forward? Someone who proved critics wrong, or someone who proved possibility right? Because here's the truth that transforms everything. The greatest revenge isn't proving others wrong. It's proving yourself right. It's not about showing them what they missed. It's about showing the world what's possible. It's not about getting even. It's about getting ahead and bringing others with you. Your journey from this moment forward isn't just about you. It's about every person who will find courage in your example. Every heart that will find hope in your resilience. Every soul that will find strength in your transformation. So let me ask you one final question. What will you do with the doubt that's been cast your way? Will you let it become a wall that stops you, or a fuel that propels you? Will you use it as an excuse for revenge or as energy for success? The choice is yours. But remember this, true success isn't just about rising above those who doubted you, it's about rising to the level of your own potential. It's not just about proving critics wrong, it's about proving possibility right. It's not just about getting even, it's about getting better, better than anyone imagined possible, including yourself. Your success story starts now. Not with a fight against those who doubted you, but with a commitment to the excellence within you. Not with a plan for revenge, but with a vision for transformation. Not with a focus on what was done to you, but with a dedication to what can be done through you. Make your success so profound that revenge becomes irrelevant. Make your transformation so complete that critics become irrelevant. Make your journey so inspiring that doubt becomes irrelevant. Because in the end, the greatest revenge isn't what you do to others, it's what you do with yourself.